Hey, this is Boy Golden, and you're listening to the Northern Report.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, friends. Welcome to the Northern Report. I'm your host, Sean Burns, and I'm coming right at you from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Like Season 1 of the Northern Report podcast, I'm here to shine a light on emerging and existing Canadian talent, as well as some of the legends we're still lucky to have with us. My guest on today's show is Boy Golden. He was slated to head to Nashville for Americana Fest, and we chat about that towards the end of the conversation. But unfortunately, like I think almost all of the Canadian artists scheduled to participate in this year's festivities, Boy Golden pulled the plug in an effort to err on the side of caution. And I mean, who can blame him, really? Speaking of Americana Fest in Nashville, it was great to see so many photos and videos from folks down there. Notably, for me, of course, was seeing the Honky-Tonk Times on proud display at the Ernest Tubb record store. If you're not in Nashville to pick up a copy, head to thehonkytonktimes.com to get your subscription to the magazine today. I'm happy to contribute the Northern Report column in each Honky-Tonk Times issue, and really excited to keep Season 2 of the podcast rolling along as well. I want to thank all you folks for following along, subscribing, liking, and sharing the posts, helping to slowly gain some momentum for the podcast here. Thanks to all the folks who came out to see Grant Siemens and I the other night there, Monday night at Blue Note Park. One final rip for us on stage outside downtown this summer. Had a nice little show, and we'll be with Lost Country this Sunday, October 3rd, in downtown Transcona, Manitoba, Canada, at the legendary Royal George Hotel from 4 to 8 p.m. for the Country Sunday. We hope we'll see you folks who are in the Winnipeg and Transcona area. And I guess the cat is now out of the bag. Sean Burns and Lost Country, proud to be the first band at the Times Changed High and Lonesome Club inside the big reopening of the club's doors. We'll be in there on Friday, October 22nd, showtime 8:30 p.m. Keep your eyes and your ears open. There'll be some advance ticket info coming soon. And the band is going to look a little different that night. That's all I'll say right now. But we sure are excited to be a part of the reopening of this legendary Winnipeg music venue. I think that's all I got for you right now, folks. Let's turn things over to my chat with Boy Golden. Boy Golden has a purpose. Enjoy each day and make good music. Founder and minister of the Church of Better Daze, he wants to help people seeking to improve on yesterday's themes. His songs, like hymns, are hopeful, fresh, and upbeat. Born Liam Duncan and raised in Brandon, Manitoba, he spent his early days touring and recording in the Middle Coast and has gone on to become an in-demand side player in Winnipeg, most notably with the brothers Landreth. Signed to Six Shooter Records, Boy Golden's self-produced debut album, Church of Better Daze, was mixed by Canadian indie legend Joel Plaskett and released on July 16th. Redefining jam band and stoner cultures by turning dead heads into lively brains, Boy Golden wants to unite us all in a hazy dream under one roof. Dubbed a Canadian Cannibas Hero by EXCLAIM, it's clear that Boy Golden has the perfect personality to be an artist. Now, I've known Liam for a handful of years. He was instrumental in assisting me early on with some business endeavors with my group Lost Country, and for a short time was a co-worker at the Times Changed High and Lonesome Club. He's seemingly always up to something, maintaining a very busy schedule in his studio. Liam is eager to create, consume, and expand his musical palette. It's easy to cheer for this guy, and it was great to catch up on the phone to hear more about this exciting young artist's journey.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you?
Not too bad. Thanks for taking the time here to chat with me this morning. I know you're a busy guy.
Oh, I'm really excited.
Have a little
It's
coffee.
gonna be really fun.
Have a little coffee together. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm just about to take a sip here.
Are you a morning guy typically?
Um, Honestly, by nature, no, but by just the way my life is, yes. If
Lot.
I want to, yeah, like if I want to get like do the things that I enjoy doing in the morning that make my day better, then I have to get up at like 8 or whatever. So
Well, let's jump right into it because I know we only have about an hour here. I like to usually start early on, and I mean you're among a strong crop of Winnipeg-based musicians that are originally from Brandon, Manitoba. What is going on in Brandon that is responsible for all of you talented
dude,
young fellas and women?
I don't know, but that's been our constant joke all the time is that whenever we play, even if there's musicians there from Winnipeg, we're always like, and the whole brand is from Brandon, Manitoba.
Yeah, it's wild because it's. I
It's
mean,
really strange.
for the folks that are unfamiliar, I mean, Brandon is like how many people live in Brandon?
Like about 40, when I was growing up there, 40,000, now maybe 50,000.
And you're like 2.5 hours sort of west of Winnipeg, and there's not a lot of doesn't seem to be a lot of gigs going on out there. So what's the scoop? Do you guys are you and all those folks, can you kind of come up together playing music, or did you go to school together, or what's the scoop?
Yeah, so there's three high schools in Brandon. So, I think we all sort of grew up together in some ways, and we like definitely me and Roman and Dylan, which are three guys that I still play with a lot. We played a ton of music together. And when we were growing up, there was more of a scene. There are way less gigs there now, but when we were growing up, there was like a bar that we played at like once every 2 weeks. And there was just like enough stuff going on that we played lots, and we played tons at just like small towns around Brandon too, like played bars and theaters and you know, Deloraine days and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
anything we could get our hands on, we would play. So
What's the gig there? Was it the double decker?
the double decker was the gig. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the spot. I remember playing there. That wasn't a bad place, was it?
No, it was great. It had a real heyday, like slightly before I was 18, and so we would go there with fake IDs or no IDs and just like try and get in. And yeah, there was music there a lot, and there was lots of really good bands because Brandon has a university program for music, and so there would be like quite a few bands coming out of there that would be playing at the Decker, and we would go see them. I remember, and then we started playing there all the time while we were still underage. And I remember one time we were playing, and then we were hanging out with this like person who was in university, and they were like what's it called, a student teacher, and we were like playing pool with them, just hanging out, and then Roman beat her at pool, and then she got all huffed up and was like, "Oh, I should tell the waitress that you're in high school." And and then the waitress heard, and she was like, "Are you serious?" Like we had been playing there for like 6 months at that point, and we were like, "Shut up, please! Oh God!" And they're like, and then we had to have this big talk with the owner, and he was like, "Well, now your dad has to be here every time you guys play,"
Oh man.
which was a drag, except that like they didn't really care that much, so we pretty much would just go play, and then the waitress would come say, "Hey, is your dad here?" "Yep, that guy's my dad," and just point at some guy.
and that's yourself and Dylan and Roman, who started out as Until Red and then became the Middle Coast.
Yeah, yeah.
So when did you guys start a band? You were really young.
Yeah, Roman and I had a little band when we were 14 called the Liam and Roman Expedition, and we wrote songs and stuff, and it was really cute, but we didn't really play very much. And then Dylan has always been quite the go-getter as far as just like going and getting gigs for cover bands or for original bands. So he was booking gigs, and then eventually got Roman to play with him, and I believe how they met was Dylan's dad is a grade 6 teacher, and Roman was in his grade 6 class, so that's how they met. But yeah, and then I came to try out, and I initially tried out on bass. Didn't make the cut on bass because I did not know how to play it.
Uh-huh.
But I did know how to play a keyboard, so I played keys. And initially we had a bass player, but then eventually the bass player left, and then I kind of got into like different synths and stuff that allowed me to play bass with my left hand and do other stuff with my right hand on the keys.
And piano.
So that was the gig for a long time.
Piano's your first axe, your first instrument, no?
Yeah, for sure.
How did that
Yeah.
happen? Was that like your parents making you take lessons, or were you like actively interested in playing the piano?
I went through phases, but it was definitely my parents definitely like pushed me through the phases where I didn't want to do it anymore, and now I'm grateful for that. And I have no idea what it would be like to be a parent, but I would struggle with that too. Like my kid doesn't want to do this, but it's like he seems to really enjoy it sometimes, so maybe I should just push him through. And like now I'm definitely happy that I kept up with it. And I had a really good piano teacher too. Her name was Anne Germani, and she was very like she was classically trained and was training me classically, but I kind of lost interest in that, and she was pretty okay with like letting me learn whatever I wanted. So
What were you digging on? Like, what were you trying to play in those early years?
uh ragtime
Oh wow!
and like some jazz, I guess, some like really basic jazz, like early, like cool jazz, early 60s.
Like you were into that as a kid.
Well, on my instrument anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what was fun. What did as a kid I liked mostly classic rock, I guess.
Like 70s
But
radio rock.
yeah, pretty much. And then I was thinking about this yesterday when I was thinking about the conversation we were going to have, and I was like, what was my like why do I like have this country influence? And it's like it's bluegrass is was around the house all the time. So that was sort of my what I was steeped in was like classic rock and like bluegrass music for
Your
the most part.
folks play music, or are they just fans?
They're just fans. They're both big fans of music and big folk fest goers, and they still go to see
Right.
concerts all the time. Dad loves the blues and
Oh, right on.
bluegrass and stuff. Yeah.
Bluegrass. Yeah, I didn't. I was kind of wondering because I don't know. We'd sort of talked about it briefly texting a few weeks ago about your sort of finding your way into the traditional country music and stuff, and like it's like that was sort of always around for me as a kid. So I was kind of curious how you came to it, and I guess you're coming to it via bluegrass.
Primarily, and then my grandpa definitely has always had traditional country music playing, like CKLQ
Hmm.
played, George Jones and all that all the time. And that was always on in the basement of his house. So I always remember that. And then now I have all of his vinyl. So
Oh,
I
nice!
have a
All those
little
old
collection going.
records.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That's
But
cool.
even him, he was into bluegrass too, mostly, I think. Most maybe because of the gospel and like some of the religious music,
Uh huh.
which I like that too. So yeah.
So you're about how old when you guys hit the road as Until Red? Because it was Until Red the first tours, was it not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so how old are you
Oh,
guys at that point?
Sean, that is the worst band name ever, maybe.
It didn't last long though. You guys changed the name, Middle Coast. It's a good
Yeah.
move. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good move. That's not a Middle Coast. That wasn't a
No,
bad,
no.
that's not too bad. Anyways, we hit the road when I was 18. Roman was just 17, and Dylan would have been 19 or 20. And yeah, and then
Like
we
on break from music school or what or what?
yeah, I graduated high school in like grade 11, and then my parents were like, "Well, you can't just go like do whatever. You're still not 18, so you should go do a year of music school." So I did a year of music school, and then I knew that it was only going to be a year because I just wanted to play music with my band. And Roman did the smart thing. He just like took a really chill last year of high school and was able to just come on. I think our first tour was in April of the last year of high school for us, which would have been 2014 or something.
Holy shit,
So
man.
yeah, so we just started touring, and then we would tour like 3 times, 4 times a year, like do a proper like 2 or 3 weeks, mostly out west. We started to go east sometimes, and we tried our hand at like playing down to Nashville, and we really tried. And Dylan and Roman were definitely. I did a lot of admin work, but they did all the booking.
Oh,
It
okay.
was not really. I didn't really like doing booking, but
Did you have anyone that like sort of showed you the ropes and helped you with the booking and admin and all that shit surrounding touring, or did you guys just jump into it?
well, we mostly just kind of jumped into it, but we definitely had help. Like the bros Landreth were very, very kind to us from a young age. And I yeah, I remember we had met them somehow, and we were all big fans, and we would call Dave and like ask for contacts for this and that, and like but yeah, I mean, Dylan is like really good at getting gigs. It's always kind of blown my mind. But we would play all over the place. We would try and get good gigs on like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, but on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sundays or whatever, we would play at like the Fairmont Hot Springs Resort in Invermere. Just
Yeah.
like in their restaurant because they said yes. Like, you know what I mean? And we would like tour with like a little sound system, and so we were pretty like it was pretty efficient. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know that I would recommend that necessarily to bands as a way to like grow their audience, but as a way to like work on their chops for sure, it was good. And we were pretty obsessive at the time. We would try and record every show, and then we would listen back to it in the van next day, which I started to hate so much. Like, I was just like, I was like, this is the worst. I have to hear to myself suck every day after I just play a fun show. It's like, oh, but I'm, ultimately probably worth it. And now I should probably do a bit more of that.
Yeah.
Now I go and play, and I'm like, that was great. Let's never think about it.
Yeah, that's the thing with the beautiful part about the live show is like mistakes are not like once they happen, they've happened, it's over, you can move on. But when you're sort of listening back thoroughly like that, I mean, yeah, there's benefits to it, but it can be cringeable, especially if you know yourself,
Yeah. Exactly. It can be pretty painful, especially if I mean, I think that's the mark of someone who is good or getting better is like you can hear where you could do that better.
Yeah.
It's like what that's supposed to sound like, and you don't sound like that yet.
So when did you guys move to Winnipeg? Finally bite the bullet and move here?
I moved when I was 20, I think.
Okay.
Maybe I was 21. I can't now. That's getting a little bit blurry. But yeah, I think I moved when I was around 20 or 21, and we all moved at the same time and just started trying to play as much as we could. It's been great. Winnipeg's been really great to all of us, I think.
Yeah, you guys had a really good run, and like you said, you did some tours, probably some successful ones. You also did, I know you guys weren't afraid to eat shit and play some, less than desirable spots along the way too. And I think that's really important in the early years of a band, just getting those hours in a variety of settings. How long was the band together before you guys sort of, go your own way in hot pursuit of solo projects?
We were together for 5 years, or what feels like a lifetime to a 21-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
But I think about 5 years. And yeah, I mean, the stories we talk about now when we're reminiscing are all the bad gigs. We don't talk about the ones that were good. There were some good shows, of course, but like we talk about the Alice Hotel in Camrose, and like,
holy shit, you guys did that one?
Like 3 times, and every time we would be like, we're never doing this again. Yeah. And then we would go back and do it again.
Well, yeah, it's like, well, I got whatever day of the week open, I know we can play there, and you end up going back all the time.
Yeah.
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 Well, you put your Liam Duncan record, If I Don't Feel Better, out in 2019, and you started to do some solo touring. Like, was that a tough adjustment for you, going out under your own name without the comforts of the guys you grew up with and grew up on the road with?
It was an adjustment. It was not necessarily tough. I was enjoying it. I knew that why I was doing that was just to get better at fronting a band and like feel more comfortable, because I was like, I really wasn't writing songs up until I was 21, and a relationship for me broke up at 21, and then that sort of like opened the floodgates, and all of a sudden I was writing all these songs and recording all this music, and I really like felt strongly that that's what I wanted to do, because I'd always wanted to do that. I just felt like I couldn't for whatever reason up until that point. And so I'm part of that journey was like, okay, I know I have to front a band, and I've never done that before, and I've always been so comfortable being like the bass player or keyboard player or whatever. And so I knew I had to just get out on the road and play. So it was mostly just for that. But like, there was some uncomfortable moments, when I realized, oh, it's just me out here, and I kind of have to pay these guys, and that tour, that one tour, I did a couple tours, I guess, but the first one was did not go super well. Like, I think a show fell through, and like definitely the turnout was way less than even I would have anticipated.
Yeah.
Like, which is fine. Like, it doesn't matter, but just like I was making less money than I thought, and I came back just like so broke, and I was like, okay, well, that was a good learning experience, but it did help. It helps me get better at fronting the band. There's no question. And
yeah, well, yeah. In between then and now, which we'll get to for sure, I guess you sort of come back to town and you have a little bit of a reset, and you end up getting the gig with the brothers Landreth. Is that about right?
yeah, exactly. I was honestly, yeah, I was kind of discouraged after I did those tours, and I really felt strongly about that record when I was making it, and in some months afterwards. But the record is kind of about like, a difficult time of heartbreak in my early 20s. So it was very intense. And then once I sort of moved out of that, I didn't feel as strongly about that record, and then I was kind of discouraged in general, not sure what to do. So I just decided, well, I like playing in people's bands, and I like doing mixing and recording and all that. And so I just kind of did that for a year and a half, and ended up writing a lot of my own songs, and ended up getting the Bros Landreth gig in the midst of all that, so it all worked out to be actually like probably one of the best year and a halves of my life, really, because it was way more relaxed. I wasn't like putting a bunch of pressure on myself to do something. I was just taking gigs and making music for fun.
And you got the chance to open up a lot of the shows for those guys over in the UK, right?
Yeah, and a few in the States too. They were super, super generous with that. And that was also an amazing learning experience too. Because weirdly enough, they have an amazing following in the UK. Like in London, we played to 700 people.
Damn.
And I know, I'm just astonished that many people like live music. But like, yeah, I had to go out there and solo and try and keep the crowd on your side. It's a battle, and you really have to be on it. You have to be really in it and on it.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
how did you get that gig with those guys? That must have been quite a thrill for you, because as you mentioned, you were leaning on Dave as a resource in early years, and I know you were probably a big fan of the band before you got the gig.
I was a huge fan of the band.
Yeah.
It was a dream gig. And I remember when I moved to Winnipeg, I was like, someday I'm going to get the Bros Landreth Keys gig. That would be a dream, because we were all literally such dorks about the band. Like, Roman took lessons with Ryan. I learned like all of Alex's parts just because they were so good, just such tasteful roots playing. And so I don't know how I ended up with it. They kind of like tried me out they did this ballet show, which was very neat and quite a little bit stressful, because like you're playing, it's not just like a live rock show. You're like, there's people like counting on you to be there when the beat happens. But yeah, played that gig, and it seemed to go pretty well. And I definitely like walked into the gig knowing that I had to like crush it, just have everything memorized and have all of the harmonies memorized. And that's what I did. And then sort of just kept playing with them from there. And it's been a great learning experience. It's always like, it's just pretty awesome to play beside a guitar player or just a musician like Joey. Like, he just has such a depth of knowledge, even just theoretically, that I don't have. So it's just always a treat.
Man, the way that guy can construct a solo is just mind blowing, and he's truly world class on his instrument, and as a vocalist too. And those guys are like really cool, fun guys, but you do get the sense that like when they're out there, that it's all business. And you must have learned a lot of things from those guys that you're able to put into practice for your own solo career. No?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. Like, Are you talking about on the business end or on the music end
The whole
now?
thing, really, like even down to the the way that they're approaching a tour or a show or dealing with people. Like, I don't know. I mean, is there anything that comes to mind that you've sort of
Oh,
picked up from those guys on the road?
yeah. Here's the main thing that I can't say enough about is that they treat the people in their band and on their crew and whoever the crew is on the show. That is my bar for how I want to treat my band, how I want to treat the sound people at the show, how I want to treat my fans when they come up for merch or whatever. It's just like, you've played in lots of bands. I've played in lots of bands. I've played for people that treat me really well. And I've also, frankly, played for some people that have taught me how I don't want to be treated as a side musician.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
And like, and they're the way they run things, it's so super organized. You know what time you have to show up, you know how much you're getting paid, you know where you're staying. It's just like that stuff is so basic, but now it really grinds my gears when that's not like stated right away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and those guys both have a long history of being side players. You have the history of being a side player, me too. And it's like you can put all those things into practice when you start leading your own band. I find myself often being like, how would I be receiving this message from the band leader if I, you know what I mean? So it's really kind of taught me the same kind of thing, being the side player and then the transition. It's really beneficial for sure.
It's super beneficial, and just like I know I'm pretty sure that my gig is pretty chill and pretty relaxing for people that are playing in my band. Like
Mm-hmm.
I try to keep it pretty organized and like try and make sure everyone's just happy and taken care of. And that I really like doing that. It makes me feel really happy when my friends in my band are enjoying my gig. Like that's great. I don't like it. I hate being stressed out about music. Like hate it. And I don't want that for anyone else who's playing with me.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. Because on the day of a Lost Country show for me is real. It's hell. Like there's a million things going on in my mind, and the comfort of the group is paramount. So I typically leave them alone. But everyone's different. But yeah, I know what you're saying. So now that you've got some sort of steam behind Boy Golden, are you still going to be going out there with the Brothers Landreth in the future, or what's the scoop?
Yeah, so far we're actually playing a show tomorrow in Beaumont, Alberta.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the worst things about about doing my own project is that at the end of the day, that is what I want for myself. So I have to take those gigs when they come. But as of right now, I'm doing a tour with them in January and February, and probably in March. And we're just gonna take it as it comes. They're like super understanding. They've been very nice to me throughout my whole like journey as a songwriter or an artist or whatever. So
Are you going to be
yeah,
opening those shows?
no, I don't think so. I think it's time for someone else.
So Boy Golden. So tell me about the stage name, the sort of the transition into this, and the philosophy behind the artist. I guess did you
Right.
have all this time in between while you're out there with the Brothers Landreth and working in Winnipeg to sort of come up with this whole thing, or how did that happen?
It happened just very naturally and I mean, from my perspective, pretty slowly, but not really that slowly. I had about 18 months where I wasn't like chasing gigs or chasing a career, quote unquote, or whatever. But I had a little studio that I was sharing with a friend, and I had 3 or 4 days a week in there, and I would just try and be on any one of my days that I didn't have to like learn someone's songs or whatever. I would go in and try and make a new song every time from scratch and finish it.
Did you have ideas, or you just go in and start riffing?
I usually did not have ideas going in. Um, yeah,
I like it.
just like, yeah, go there at like 10 or 11 in the morning and like smoke a little doobie out front the building and then just get at her. And then I ended up with a bunch of these songs, and I did not have the name or anything, but I was starting to feel for sure like it wasn't like Liam Duncan. I did not want to release under that anymore because I just wanted the freedom to make more of a character and more of a caricature out of like kind of the parts of myself that I sort of like the best, or like that I feel the most comfortable sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I just kept on doing that, kept on writing, and then I moved to Toronto in December of 2019, and I kept writing there, and that's sort of when it really all came together for me. I wrote the song Church of Better Days, and then I was like, I think this is an album. And then the concept just sort of fleshed itself out for me over the like month after that, and it was really, really, really fun. It's the whole philosophy behind Boy Golden for me is that I make I make the best music and the music that I like to make when I am having fun and when I am not stressed, and when, like, I think there's, for a while I thought that I had to be in some sort of darker emotional state to write something that meant something to me, but now I feel the exact opposite. It's actually, I I write so much better when I'm feeling okay. And so the whole point of the project is to keep me feeling like that, and then to provide that for my friends and peers here in Winnipeg, hopefully, to, they can come and play with me, and they play with me on the recordings, and I love to showcase them. I don't like it to be just the Liam show. I think it's like it's all about everybody. And then lastly, I'd like to hopefully make it sort of an inclusive time for people who are following the project, and that's sort of why I send out like pamphlets and do a bunch of goofy like promo stuff like that. It's more than promo to me. I think it's kind of part of the art and part of the project.
So you can afford to be like less introspective, less autobiographical in the Boy Golden show than in the Liam Duncan record.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's not to say that I don't get that way. And I'm sort of still walking that line, because sometimes songs come out and I'm like, oh, this is like super autobiographical. But it just sort of depends how I'm feeling when I'm recording it or something. I don't know. I feel like most things will come out under Boy Golden. I think that's the way I want to do it.
You don't think you'll do another like Liam Duncan record?
I think I probably will. I don't want to say that I'll never do that, because
Right.
like life is long, but yeah, I don't know. For the next little while, I definitely want to focus on the Boy Golden project because it's so fun.
And you won't be playing those Liam Duncan songs on Boy Golden shows?
No.
Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
you recorded this record. Church of Better Days came out in July. Really nice job, by the way. And
Thank you.
recorded that all on your own?
I recorded it mostly in my bedroom in Toronto, and then maybe 4 of the songs I recorded in various bedrooms around Winnipeg. But yeah, I recorded it all myself. Most of it is digital, but some of the songs were started on like a cassette recorder that I was using a lot at the time. But yeah, otherwise it's mostly digital recording, and then got it mixed by Joel Plaskett.
Yeah, how'd you hook up with Joel Plaskett?
Just emailed him several times.
Just peppered him until he finally listened to my songs.
Yeah, pretty much.
No
And then he
shit.
was great to work with. Like yeah. I mean, my only regret about the whole recording process is that because it was COVID times when we were mixing, I wasn't able to go down and mix with him, and that just would have been really fun, I bet. But
yeah. Did you have input
Yeah.
on the mixes, or did you just put full trust into him?
I definitely had input, but I was also trying to put trust, because I was at that point pretty close to the. I mean, I think that's very normal at the end of a long recording process. The process took 2 or 3 months, but I was working on it all the time, and at that point I had no idea. I liked my rough mixes a lot, but I don't know. I was pretty happy to have him like be a sort of filter for my ideas. So we would just talk on the phone.
How did you settle on him to be the guy that, like, how did you know that that was the person you wanted for this? Like, are you a big fan of his records?
Yeah, I like his records, and I sort of just like his philosophy. When I would like hear him talk on, listen to a podcast with him, and I liked his philosophy on mixing and recording, and I liked that he was going to use a bunch of tape, because I thought that it kind of needed that, like a bit more of some analog warmth that would, and just like analog weirdness to make it sound Yeah, less.
When did you wrap up, mix master on this record, and how did it get into the hands of the folks at 6 Shooter Records?
I wrapped up mix and master on October 12th, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
And
2020?
then I just like, yeah,
Okay.
October 12th, 2020. And then I sent it around to various people for like a month or two, and then didn't really hear back from anyone. So I was gonna put it out just as it was. I was totally happy to do that. But then in January, I just got a random call from Shauna at 6 Shooter, and we just started chatting, and it's been really great. I've been really I've never had the chance to work with like a larger industry, organization like this, and it's been extremely helpful in almost every way.
You're just sending folks, like, you're just pitching your stuff unsolicited. You've got no one on no team. It's just you sending emails to these folks, and they phoned you back.
Yep. And although I will say that I did have a friend who was working at 6 Shooter who was a fan, and I sent him the record, and I sent Shauna the record too, and
Right.
Apparently she did listen to it initially, and just sort of like kept on coming back to it, and was like, you know what, I'm gonna sign this, even though it's just like just nothing right now.
Right.
But it was great. And then once we started working together, it's been kind of mayhem since then.
Yeah, like, so when did you finally like come to an agreement, and did they start like sort of taking over management and booking stuff for you as well?
No, I'm self-managed still, and I'm kind of looking to keep it that way for the time being, and until I find someone that I'm really, really excited about working with. But I'm also still have this DIY mentality, for better or worse, where it's like I like a lot of control, and I also like to learn the ropes. Like, I really want to understand everything that's happening in my career. So I'm pretty happy to be self-managed for the time being, and I have a booking agent at APA that's working for me currently.
You got a lot of stuff coming up behind this record, or what's going on as far as touring is concerned for Boy Golden right now?
Got a few things. Going down to Nashville in September to play Americana Fest.
Nice.
Yeah, should be fun. I'm like nervous,
Yeah,
and stressed about the whole situation down there, but whatever.
Are you bringing your band?
Yeah, I decided that it would be the most fun to do it with me and 5 friends. So
You guys gonna drive down together?
we can't drive because the
right.
borders are still closed.
So you got to fly down.
I had to spend a small fortune on flights.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, thank God for grants.
Yeah,
Or,
but
I
it's
guess
also
thank our government.
Yeah, it's also it's a long-term investment, like almost everything that we're gonna be doing as artists. But I mean, to have your people that are, your friends, the musicians that work with you all the time on stage with you at a situation like that, like, that's got to inspire some confidence and just comfort for you.
Hugely. That's the whole point.
Who is your crew? Because I know they're all really talented folks, and maybe we should give them a little bit of attention. Yeah.
I'm still playing with Roman on drums right now, which I love. Roman and I have been playing for so long, and I just love his style on drums. It's like, as soon as Roman gets on stage, he doesn't care. He just plays whatever, and It's so fun. And it just means that the songs can go different directions, and they do, and I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And Corey Hickway plays bass, and he's been playing with me since I started playing my own songs. So it always just feels really great to have Corey around, and he's a really awesome vibe all the time when we're touring. And he's very handsome as well. So what more could you ask for out of a bass player, really?
Yeah, exactly. Especially the bass player.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then in my ideal world, I have both Austin Parahoniak and Chris Ulrich playing guitar for me, both of whom I know you've played with a bunch. Yeah. And, we can attest that they're both excellent guitar players, and I love having both of them, but it almost never happens because they're so busy. It's so annoying.
Are they both going to Nashville with you?
But they're both going to Nashville with me. But
Oh, nice.
we haven't played a full band show like that, like with both of them yet. And we were supposed to, but it just didn't work out. Like they're both just so busy. So whatever, that'll be our first one. It'll be good.
I bet, man. Well, they're both really good, and they're different. Like Austin's, I don't know what he's like in every situation, but sometimes his approach is, I mean this in the best ways. It's like he's a little bit reckless. He just goes for it, and it's fucking great.
Yeah.
And Chris is
That's
so
the
nice.
fucking best.
And Chris is really, really adept at like coming up with nice parts, like complimentary stuff, and he's never in the singer's way.
No, both of them are like that. And I mean, Austin is really cool because he really does have his own voice on the guitar, and especially in his tones, which are like usually unconventional tones.
Yes.
But I really love his voice. But then the other amazing part about Austin is that if you ask him to like do a thing that's, you know, been done before or whatever, he can just be a chameleon like that and just get it right away, which is awesome.
He's an incredible singer too.
I know. Well, yeah, both of them are.
Yeah.
They're both great singers, and Roman's a great singer too. Speaking of great singers, I also have Fontaine Beavis singing with me all the time, and Fontaine's really become an important part of the show for me.
Is Fontaine on the record?
She is on the record. Yeah, she sings a bunch of Bee Gees.
Who's singing with you on to Be You Tonight?
That was Leith Ross.
Okay.
And Chris, and that recording, that made it on the record is just that we wrote that song that night sitting on my bed in Toronto, and then we recorded that demo that night, and then we went out for drinks afterwards, and it was a really, really nice night, and just like creative juices were flowing very nicely. And then I tried to like make another recording to make it better or something, but they were all worse than the demo. And so even though there's some weird stuff in the demo, I don't know, you can hear the bedroom creaking and stuff, but I like all that shit.
Me too.
Makes it better.
Yeah, that's a beautiful track, man. It's really, really, really strong finish on that
record.
Thanks.
Thanks so much.
And that one, to me, like Sarah and I were listening to the record last night and sort of commenting on how, you know, there's a real sound to the Winnipeg musicians. And sometimes when I'm trying to execute like a very distinct sort of Texas country music thing, it ends up having this greasy, bluesy Winnipeg vibe, like with the people that play in my band that are all over 40. And then the folks that are, say, like under 30, there's a different sort of sound, but it still sounds kind of uniquely Winnipeg. But what I like the most about the Boy Golden record is it, and like I was talking to you about your approach with the country music, is it just sounds like you. Like you're not hung up on any of this other stuff. And I was wondering, like, is this a conscious thing? Are you just going in like open-minded and making music? It seems it's really beautiful.
Oh, Sean, thanks. Yeah, it's not really conscious, but I definitely am. Okay, it is conscious, actually. When I really think about it, yeah, it is absolutely. Like, I have things that I've always really liked that I just do a lot now, and I just lean into it, and I sort of have a formula, you know, and I'm sure the formula will change, and I hope it does. But like for the time being, my formula works quite well, and it doesn't really sound like much other stuff I hear. And so I'm just trying to make wacky recordings, honestly. And I'm hoping, well, I've started work on another recording, and like it's just gonna get better, hopefully. And like I'm definitely not trying to step anything up and make anything more hi-fi. That's not really my thing.
Mm-hmm. No.
Yeah.
But it's great. It's like, I mean, to kind of go back to that song, is like, that's the sort of one where Sarah was like, yeah, this kind of has a Winnipeg vibe to it. And it's like, okay.
It does. And you know, I've had that comment from other people being like, oh, I can hear the influence of the Landreths in this song, or something like that. But it's funny because I cannot really take credit for that song. Like Leith pretty much wrote that whole song. We were all sitting there, but Leith is a songwriting genius. Like, music just flows out of them. And yeah, they pretty much wrote the entire thing. We were talking about ideas, and then all of a sudden Leith had 2 verses, and I was like, oh, those are beautiful. And then they wrote 2 more verses, and then the song was done. You know?
Yeah.
So
it's magic that you capture that, and that's the one that you keep on the record. I just think it's great. It's like, it's a young guy from Winnipeg, and it doesn't sound like everything else from Winnipeg, and you didn't sign to a label in Winnipeg, you know?
Right.
Which is cool. I know the
Yeah.
Birthday Cake have got a really great thing going on, and they've got a great number of artists under the banner, but it's kind of cool that you're like outside of that with Boy Golden.
Yeah, it's been really different for me. Like, and I felt like I really had to, it's so hard to feel like an artist when you're just doing stuff. And like, I've spent so much time doing other things other than being an artist, playing in people's bands and recording stuff. And so with the 6-shooter thing, I had to step into that role in a big way. And that's been really, really healthy.
Is it hard?
Also
though?
really challenging.
Yeah.
It's like hard to trust myself enough, and it's also just because I do like to do it, most things myself. It just ends up being a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking forward to at some point having more people, or just like being busy enough that it won't be, like if I had more gigs, then it wouldn't be such a nightmare trying to coordinate all the gigs that I currently have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like sporadic, and but I mean, it seems like it's still important to you to take those jobs as a side player and just, be able to focus on playing piano.
Yeah, I don't know how I even feel about that, but there's certain gigs that I just can't say no to. Like I just love playing with some of these bands, and like I'm playing with the Lucas Roger band this weekend, and that was the first band that I joined in Winnipeg that wasn't like a band that I was in from Brandon. And it's just like I just can't not play that gig. Like it's so fun, and it's just easy, and I don't know. And with the bros, it's just like I'm still just learning so much every single time I do that, and so I don't know.
Do you think there'll be like a big run, a national Boy Golden tour at some point next year?
I hope so, but I'm not rushing to it, to be honest, which is weird because in the past, all the time, I've been like, all right, got to hit the road. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But at this point, the way I want the show to be, I want to have at least 5 people on stage, and that is expensive. And then I want the shows to be good shows with this band. Like kind of half of my thing is that I like recording as much as I like playing live. At this point, I like it probably more because it's more relaxing.
Like you do something every day, don't you?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I try. And so I kind of think that this project could have more of a life on the internet than some of the other things that I've tried to do. So I really want to make more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, the live shows are sort of just getting in the way of me doing some of the projects that I really want to be doing. And so, yeah, I'm kind of hoping to keep it pretty chill on the live side until next summer, honestly.
The website, the whole thing that you've got going on there, and the branding and stuff, surrounding the singles and the album art, is fantastic. Who's responsible for all that?
Well, me and some friends. I'm not the most visually competent person in the world. So Austin Bolton did all the design on the album and all that. And then I worked with my friend Soren, who's a great bass player, but also a great web developer on the website and all of that. But it was pretty much definitely the website and all that. I had a pretty strong vision for what I wanted that to be like. And honestly, I wish that I have had more time to work on it because I have more ideas. So yeah, I'm going to keep working on it.
Any chance that, when the world kind of opens back up to what it used to be, that you go back to a place like Toronto, or you think you're pretty set here in Winnipeg?
I need to stay here for like a year because I moved like 5 times in the last 2 years, and I'm just really tired of it.
Yeah.
So the other half of this is that I have some projects and some music that I really want to make in Winnipeg with just like making some records with some friends. I'm like, I need to do that for the next year and make another Boy Golden record, and I can't do that if I'm going to move. So I'm going to definitely be here for a while. And after that, I have no idea. Probably want to go and explore somewhere else. We'll see. No plans.
No plans. Well,
No plans.
where can people hear your music and support you and stuff online? Where are you sending them?
Go check out churchofbetterdaze.com, because that's where I try and keep everything happening. And you can sign up to be a member of my congregation, and I will send you a little welcome package, and then you're welcomed into the Church of Better Daze. But otherwise, I'm on Instagram, Boy Golden, and you can find me on every single streaming platform. Just look up Church of Better Daze or look up Boy Golden, and that's where you can find me.
Liam, thanks a lot for taking time to talk to me today, man. It's nice to catch up with you. It's been really great to watch all of this stuff happen for you. A lot of admiration for your work ethic, man, and I wish you guys all the best down in Nashville.
Thanks so much, Sean. This was really fun. Really, really enjoyed it.
Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed my chat with Boy Golden. Big thanks to Liam for making the time to join me on the podcast. Listen to Boy Golden wherever you stream music for a nominal monthly fee, or check him out at churchofbetterdaze.com. That's DAZE. Follow along with the Northern Report Spotify playlist, where you can hear music from the folks that I've covered in the Honky-Tonk Times column, as well as here on the podcast. Our logo was created by Boots Graham of Boots and the Hoots. Music on the show today, courtesy of Sean Burns and Lost Country, The Divorcees, and Skinny Dick. And from local legends to regional stars to the cream of the Canadian crop, you'll find it all here on the Northern Report. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll chat later. Hey, what you got for us, pal?
$100 jeans, but I can't engage my core. As long as there's a cabaret, I know relief is just swallow away.